Well, it's Thursday, and you all know what that means. Today we're going to be doing 4 reviews. The first one is from Japanese promotion GLEAT with G Pro Wrestling version 57. And this one features, of course, a bit of an elimination match between two different factions. The Yance family versus the Bulk Orchestra. Determine who is, of course, the dominating faction or the most exciting faction in GLEAT. And there's plenty other matches we definitely going to be reviewing as well. Also, we have MLW with Fusion 178. This one features Jacob Fatu taking on Ricky Shane Page, who's been targeting for a while, and now they want to obtain the MLW National Openweight title. As you know, the calling already has both the tag team titles and the middleweight title. And of course, we have the final of the Opera Cup between Tracy Williams and of course Davey Boy Smith. Then we move along with Impact Wrestling. As you know, Impact Wrestling will be stepping in this coming weekend for Multiverse Unite, but some interesting matches taking place. We do have the final of the #1 contendership tournament for the Impact World Tag Team titles and plenty others. And of course, we have Ring of Honor with a Proving Ground match and other special matches we definitely going to be talking about. And of course, we got some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are being announced by the promotions, who's booked, what matches are set, plenty other things, the whole enchilada. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. If you like what you see, where we review a lot of pro wrestling events, please subscribe to us. You'll be getting a lot of reviews daily, and of course some news updates as well, and other type of stuff we definitely will enjoy. So if you like this episode, please give us a like or give us a comment down below. So let's get started. We have our first review, which is GLEAT with their latest show, G Pro Wrestling version 57. Now this particular event took place this past weekend. They actually did not broadcast it until today. It opened up with the Yance family, doing their little promo. They're doing this promo ahead of their main event match against the members of Bulk Orchestra. Now, keep in mind, GLEAT has been around for almost 2 years, but recently there's been the rise of different, units or factions that, of course, they've been trying to say who is the #1 and dominating unit within the promotion. So we'll see about that in the main event. Our first match, we have tag team action. We got Soma Watanabe teaming with Junji, taking on Black Generation International, consisting of Keiichi Sato and Hartley Jackson. Now, in this particular match, if you have been watching this, you know for a fact that this would have been a BGI win, because of course they have been shown. But however, Keiichi Sato, I believe, is still the weakest link in the match, because as you know that ever since he was offered the opportunity joining the BGI after the disbandment of 60 seconds, he was offered by Sato. But to me, the factor of this match was Soma Watanabe, who's been the rising star in GLEAT. He's not currently affiliated with any unit. I wouldn't be surprised if he forms his own. But he has challenged for the G-Rex title before, but came up short. But now it's like, okay, how this is going to play out. But luckily, it was Soma Watanabe with a drop kick right in the face on Keiichi Sato, giving him the win. So I'm sure that BGI are not going to forget this. they'll definitely get their measure of revenge at some other point. Next up, we have the Yoshis taking stage. We have Unagi Sayaka once again teaming up with Yukari Hosogawa, taking on Diamond Egoist, consistent of Junai Kai and Michiko Miyagi. Now, this war between Unagi and Michiko is far from over. Now, ever since Unagi has arrived, she often criticized Michiko on one occasion where she feels that Michiko is not making the Yoshi wrestling in GLEAT exciting enough for everyone to enjoy. And of course, it felt like maybe Unagi was right. But however, she was exiled from the promotion thanks to Unagi beating her in the match, leaving behind Yukari Hosogawa alone, basically. But Yukari has grown, developed a great friendship with Unagi. But however, she felt that Michiko must answer for her abandonment, for abandoning her. But of course, Michiko Miyagi probably doesn't give a damn about her. But this match is a continuation of war between these two groups. But however, it was Janai Kai who walked out as the victor, applying a roundhouse kick onto the face of Hosogawa and picking up the win. But you know that this war between Michiko and Unagi is far from over. Now, our next match, we have Kaz Hayashi teaming with Yu Iizuka, taking on Yuya Suzumu and member of BGI, Kotaro Suzuki. Now, they have shown Suzumu and Suzuki they are a good team. They have, but apparently things. Well, this is what happened. Suzumu applied like some sort of like an underhook, and then he drags him down to the knees, and just like that, it was over. However, Suzumu attacked Suzuki out of nowhere, but Ishida and I forgot who else. I think Harley Jackson. I'm not sure. And Sato showed up, tried to beat him down, trying to see what was going on. But apparently, it seems that Suzumu formed an alliance with Soma Watanabe out of nowhere. This is something new, but I did state it before. Is Soma Watanabe planning to form his own unit or something? I don't know. That is still unclear, since there is no translation. But I'll do the best of my ability to see what it's all of this about. Now, our next match, we have the members of Strong Hearts, El Lindaman and T-Hawk, taking on the rivals, the Bulk Orchestra, consistent of Wildstorm and Galeno del Mal. Now, this is a huge challenge for Strong Hearts because Quiet Storm and Galeno are two big effing dudes. They're big dudes. They're the kind of people you don't know for sure you can do a suplex on. But I know El Lindaman has applied a suplex onto Quiet Storm, but I don't know about Galeno because the dude is big, surprisingly big. But somehow T-Hawk picked up the win by a pinfall. But I have noticed something odd about this one. I don't know if there was a botch in this because it appears like Quiet Storm kicked out, but the referee said it was 3. And I see how people were going, boo! I'm like, But, of course, the rule of thumb here is the referee's final call. But I wouldn't be surprised as well that this will be a rematch in some capacity. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Now, as I said before, there's no translation, no subtitles on when it comes to GLEAT or anybody speaking English language to understand what's going on. Tetsuya Izushi, formerly of 60 Seconds, shows up doing his little promo. Now, I don't know what was that all about, but I'm sure he's trying to discover what's next for him, knowing that 60 Seconds were disbanded, but we'll see how that goes around. Now, our next match, we have a title match, but this is a non-GLEAT title. This is from the Gaora television title from All Japan. What's his name? Jun Tonsho, formerly of 60 Seconds, challenged Minoru Tanaka for this title. I have to say it was a pretty good match. It showed, Jun Tonsho, who has shown a lot of promising, not only when he was with 60 Seconds, even outside. But however, it was, of course, Minoru Tanaka with an armbar that allowed him to retain the title. Now, our next match is an 8-man elimination tag team match. We have team number 1, the Yans family, Izui Onitsuka, Yusuke Kodama, Masato Konami, Kamino, my bad, and of course the leader Takanori Ito. They take on Bulk Orchestra consisting of Shek Shimatani, Hayato Tamura, Kazuma Sakamoto, and of course the leader Ryuichi Kawakami. Now, I can tell you, I wrote down exactly who was eliminated. Onitsuka eliminated Shek Shimatani. Then Kazuma Sakamoto eliminated Kamino. Then Tamura eliminates Kodora. And then Ito eliminates Kazuma. And then there was a double elimination between Tamura and Ito. Kawakami eliminates Onitsuka at the end. So basically that's how it ends. Kawakami picked up the win. However, at the post-match, of course, Strongheart showed up, and apparently they introduced a brand new member, and that is Sunji. You probably asked Junji why would he join them. Well, simple. Junji was from China. Stronghearts were at China for a time until the pandemic happened. So it wouldn't be surprised. And of course, BGI shows up, who are trying to show their dominance once again to the promotion. So we'll see how these factions go out. So I can't wait to see what the next one's going to be like. I think that's pretty much it with GLEAT. Let's move on with MLW. Okay, MLW Fusion 178. Now, we opened up with a title match, which is the MLW National Openweight title between champion Jacob Fatu and the challenger Ricky Shane Page, or as we know him, RSP. Now, the reasons this match was taking place in story-wise, as you know, recent time, the Calling has been now collecting all the belts as possible. They currently have the tag team titles. RSP and Akira are the current MLW World Tag Team Champions. But Akira, on the other hand, has the MLW World Middleweight title that he beat Lince Dorado for. Now it seems now they're trying to collect the National Openweight title from Fatu, but in recent times they have been attacking the Samoan SWAT team, more specifically Lance Inoue and Juicy Finau. Now we know that Lance Inoue is currently in Japan participating for the N1 victory. It's still no telling when he'll be back. As for Juicy, we haven't seen him in a while. The last segment we saw him in, he was locked in some store while he was watching Lance Inoue getting himself beat up by the Calling, so it's still unclear. But of course, Jacob Fatu is no idiot. He knows right from the get-go that Raven and his so-called Calling were right there, that they would stop at nothing to ensure Jacob Fatu loses the match and they collect the belt. However, the result of it ended in a double DQ. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a no disqualification match taking place in the future, but we'll find out soon enough. Now, an interview conducted by Sam with Tracy Williams, who is in the finals of the Opera Cup tournament. Apparently, he is well prepared, but he knows that he's up a much bigger task against the previous champion from 2019, Davey Boy Smith. So he feels like this will be a perfect opportunity to show what he's about. Now, however, another interview was conducted by Sam, but this time with the current MLW Women's Featherweight Champion, Delmi Exo, who is facing a new person I never heard of named Paris. But however, that interview was interrupted by Becca, who's been, demanding that, of course, she gets a title shot. But however, Delmi doesn't believe she earned it because she only had one match. That's about it. But she feels like you're acting like you're a pop star, not a wrestler. So he's saying, until you act like a wrestler, then start talking to me. So basically, Becca thinks that Delmi thinks she's delusional. But Becca, who will not stand out, well, you know how she's going to be. However, the featherweight title was defended by Demi Elso against Paris Van Dale. Fortunately, Delmi applied the Delmi driver just like that. But all of a sudden, at the post-match, Becca attacked her from behind and then whacked her with a guitar, being like Jeff Jarrett. So basically, Becca will not be denied until she gets what she feels it's her opportunity, and she's not going to be denied. But the problem is, I don't know what Court Bauer would say, because I don't think he would appreciate the fact that Becca attacked Delmy, not making things a little complicated. But we'll see how that turns out. Now, as you know, later on we will have a match for the world heavyweight title between Alex Kane and Willie Mack. Now, Alex Kane continues to insult Willie Mack, saying that he's fat as hell, he eats a lot of McDonald's, that he doesn't even deserve a title shot because he's claiming that Bumaye is now taking over the world, all that. I would say if you say that in front of Will Ospreay, he would kick his ass, and you guys know that. But, however, we'll see what happens then. Now, our main event is, of course, the finals of the Opera Cup tournament. Tracy Williams versus Davey Boy Smith Jr. Pretty good match. I would have assumed it would have been a very interesting technical aspect of the match, but in the end, it was Davey Boy Smith Jr. with a crossface picking up the win. So, sooner or later, now that he won the Opera Cup tournament, it's only a matter of time until he gets the one title he desires, and that is, of course, the MLW World Heavyweight title. Now, keep in mind, this scenario was played out before. Let me explain what happened. Davey Richards, if you guys remember, he was the previous Opera Cup winner. He proclaimed himself that he won the cup, despite the fact he was not in the Opera Cup tournament. He claims that now that he has it, that means he gets a title shot. No, he did not win it. So he was determined. But, however, I think Davey Boy Smith will get his payback against him to get a shot of the title and try to remind him, you stole the cup, you're a thief. So I'm sure. And not to mention, I don't think Davey Boy Smith is going to forget the fact that they insulted him and his family. So we'll see how that rolls out. So we'll see what happens until then. But for now, we'll just move on to our next review, which is Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling, so let's get started on this one. It opened up with Deonna Purrazzo facing off Kylan King. Now, if you guys remember completely, the Coven had their with here with Deonna Purrazzo and Trinity for quite some time. However, this is a little payback for what happened last time for Deonna Purrazzo. But of course, in the X factor of this match, that what's her name, Taylor Wilde, was going to get in the way, but it did not do any well because, fortunately, Deonna Purrazzo put Kylan King in the Fuji armbar, and then of course she put both arms behind, and she had no other choice but to give up. So right now, she's building up some good momentum for two reasons. One, this weekend for the Multiverse United 2, and of course, don't forget, for Emergence. Now, an interesting interview came around with Kenny King. Now, Kenny King, apparently he's not willing to admit what he did, where he opened his big fat mouth about saying that the digital media title is the most prestigious title than the Impact World title. And apparently during the BTI show, well, I hate to say this, he beat Sheldon Jean. So King thinks that, you know, he's dumb enough to proceed for the belt. But Gia Miller says, you open your mouth. That's why he targeted you. So I don't think Kenny cannot acknowledge that, yes, you open your big fat mouth and this is the result of it. So that's how it goes. Now, on some other part of the show, Santino Marella was having a very discussion with Kevin Knight. However, he was interrupted by Bully Ray. Well, Bully Ray is running shitless, knowing that he doesn't know what to do with PCO because he's going around saying, I burned him, I gassed him, the whole thing. He didn't know what to do, so he's trying to ask Santino to use his power of Director of Authority to do something about PCO. So, I'm sure Santino would love to do something about it, but the problem is, you don't want to piss off the French-Canadian monster. So that's the thing that he doesn't want to do. And of course, Moose and Myers get involved. And then, of course, they were criticizing their opponents for Emergence. But the one person they criticize is Kushida. But Kevin Knight, who's been trained by Kushida, was not going to take that Stanley. And of course, Santino, by his power of authority, he gave a match later on in the day between Moose and Kevin Knight. But however, The so-called professional wrestler, Brian Myers, he's calling Alex Shelley a coward for being a world champion since he's not doing a thing. However, Santino asked him the question, and of course, the answer is, yup, just like that. Now, Brian Myers may think he has the opportunity, but I highly doubt it. So we'll see what happens then. Now, our next match is a three-way match. Now, this is coming up for the upcoming four-way championship match for the Knockouts tag team titles. We have Killer Kelly, Savannah Evans, and Jessica facing off each other. Now, you probably ask yourself, wait a minute, they're supposed to be the fourth. Who was the other? Well, we just saw Kylan King had her match against Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know why Taylor Wilde is not in here, but anyway, it was a pretty good match. But what I did like is how Killer Kelly applied a Death Valley driver on Savannah Evans on top of Jessica, but however, because of the damage that Jessica received from Kelly King by using Savannah Evans as a weapon, she pinned her with the mat, just like that. So right now, Killer Kelly along with Masha Samich are building up good momentum before emergence. Now, our next match, we have Kevin Knight versus Moose. Pretty good match, but however, this match ended with Moose applying the spear, sending a direct message to Kushida. So if I'm Moose, don't piss off Kushida. Now, our next interview, we have the Rascals. Now, the Rascals, as you know, are in the finals of the tournament for the number one contendership for the Impact World Tag Team titles. But however, the ABC had one thing they had their minds. If you guys remember, the ABC were eliminated out of the tournament, but they have strong reason to believe that the good hands were paid by the ABC. So, Santino Marella, with the power of his authority, he will in fact give a match next week with the ABC against the good hands. But the good hands, there is no logical proof. However, I think Santino would agree with them, but they need logical proof that says, yes, these guys were paid by the Rascals to get rid of them. But we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Khan, along with Diener, the Design, taking on Eric Young. However, this match was personal, but it ended with a disqualification by Diener when he whacked Eric Young with the chair. Of course, he put Eric Young in a DDT, sending a direct message. So that pretty much says it all. Now, it appears now that we're seeing now a very good, interesting team. Now, if you guys remember completely, YuuRi said that he and Hendry should be champions. So what he was referring to, tag team champions. So it's only a matter of time until they have picked up some good matches and go for the Impact World Tag Team titles. Now, Crazy Steve as recently has been talking about his life. So he revealed more about his history, about how his mom was sick, that she did everything in his power to raise him while that. Same thing with Crazy Steve. So basically, there was a lot most emotional about his story. It makes you want to cry. Even Tom was like trying to understand more. So he's asking, but the one thing that was really clear, Tom wanted to know from Crazy Steve, this is a story we never heard before, but why are you saying this now? So next week he'll give us the straight up answers on that. So we're kind of curious to see what the story about Crazy Steve is. Now, our next match, we have Bully Ray versus Black Taurus. This match was so chaotic with a lot of weapons, but one thing it is, Black Taurus was about to do a little move off the turnbuckle. He missed, landed his back on the ladder, and Bully Ray picked up the win by that. But however, lights turned off. We all know who that was. It was PCO. However, Bully Ray picked him up, threw him through a table. But unfortunately, PCO got up, and once again, Bully Ray ran like a scared little girl in a horror film with his tails between his legs, not knowing what to do. Now, our next interview, we have Eddie Edwards, who at the moment is so pissed off with things, how it got chaotic with Alicia Edwards last week, thanks to Frankie Kazarian. But the war between these two guys is not over yet. So it looks like it's still going to happen, but we're going to see what's going to take place next week. Now, for our number one contendership for the Impact World Tag Team titles, we have the Rascals versus Swan and Callahan. Now, I'm sure many people would love to see Swan and Callahan win, but of course, this match ended with the Rascals applying their usual tricks with distractions, but also using the spray paint on Sami Callahan to pick up the win. But I'm sure subculture are paying attention what's going on with the Rascals, or trying to find ways to ensure they obtain these titles. But I know for a fact that ABC haven't forgotten. They will probably screw them too. So we'll see where that's going to take us. So I think that's pretty much it with Impact Wrestling. So let's move on with Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. So it opened up a Gringo Loco versus Gravity, and I have to say this is a pretty good match. Now, those who know who Gravity is, you may know that you may or may not know, he is the younger brother of Bandito. And I have to say, Gravity has now been saying, I'm not saying he's rising fast, but he's building up that let's say who he is. Much like his brother, he does have that strength mentality where of someone of his size that can pick it up, and I think that works in his favor. But he is a very unique character. But Gringo Loco, you may know him as the bass god who's been with GCW and various promotions, even wrestling down south in Mexico, even Japan. But it was Gravity with the diving body splash that allowed him to pick up the win. And I think Caprice Coleman does have a valid point. He does say that maybe in the future we could see Gravity, who may step out of his brother's shadow, may become the ROH World Champion. And I have to say there is the possibilities of that. Now, we do see a next match is a Pure Wrestling's rules match. We have Silas Young versus Josh Woods. Now, this was a match that was arranged by Smart Mark Sterling. Josh Woods feel like he's not being that guy that he was known for, but now he's becoming a different type of beast. Now, he's facing against a guy he considered once a friend and a tag partner, Silas Young. But of course, Josh Woods showed his attitude towards about this match, and then not to mention he did a suplex on him to pick up the win. So just like that. Now we do see an interesting promo, video package promo by Maria Kanellis, as you know, talking about her years in the wrestling business, talking about her family, more specifically her kids and her husband. But now that the Kingdom are back, they're planning to expand even further to build an army. However, Layla Hirsch shows up, asking her what's in it for her, and of course all this other stuff. But of course, Maria decided to give her better competition, so she got her Rachel Ellering. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now our next match is for the ROH Women's World Title Proving Ground match. Athena versus Brittany J. Brittany J, of course, she's shown a bit of the aggressiveness. You would have thought that there was no way Athena would just give in by her, but of course it did happen. So basically, but Athena took her out completely with the forearm, winning the match. But out of nowhere in the post-match, the Renegade Twins showed up and attacked her. And of course, out of nowhere, Billy Starks even did the same thing too. Now, last week we did see the Renegade Twin attack Billy Stark after Billy defeated Robin, and then of course Charlotte comes in. Here comes Athena, but so we don't know what's going on with the story. But we did see, of course, Billy Starks wanted the reasons why, but of course she was interrupted by the Renegades. Now our next match, we had a very unusual tag match. We have, of course, Samoa Joe and Stokely Hathaway teaming up to take on the Boys. Most of the work was done by Joe. That's something you probably can picture. But however, there was a moment where Stokely Hathaway tried to jump off the turnbuckle. He missed. But of course, Joe put the Brandon in a chokehold, giving the win just like that. So I thought it was hilarious. Hilarious. Now, our next match, we have Matt Sydal and Christopher Daniels taking on 2/3 of the ROH 6-man tag team champions, the Gates of Agony, Bishop Khan and Teo Leona. I thought this match was pretty good. I mean, Seidel and Christopher Daniels could have won this match, but however, it was Bishop Khan that picked up the win when he pinned Christopher Daniels. Now, our next match, we have the return of Madison Rayne since they're in Columbus, Ohio. She faced off against Danny Moe. Pretty good return match, and of course, Madison Rayne applied the cross reins in order to pick up the win. So, great comeback right there for her. Now, our next match, we have all members of Dark Order taking on Isaiah Broner, Lord Crew, and Corey Calhoun. The match went pretty well. It ended with a pendulum bomb, but however, the story still continues with Stu Grayson and the Righteous. Of course, they're trying to bring out the aggressiveness of the Dark Order, so we don't know what else is being cooked up with the Righteous, what they're planning. So we'll see what happens then. Now, Claudio Castagnoli cuts in a video package promo where he talks about how certain people are saying, you are the ROH champion, a world champion. Why aren't you defending your belt? So he gives straight up reasons, and then of course he talks about guys like Eddie Kingston who he feels they don't deserve a title shot, and he talks about Mark Briscoe who isn't ready and all this. So he's feeling like he is a top champion. So that's always been the case, what's been going on with him. Now, our next match, we have Griff Garrison taking on Cole Carter. But, of course, in this match, you may have noticed Maria Kanellis was going to show up regardless. But, of course, it was a pinfall by Cole Carter to pick up to Griff Garrison. So it looks more like Maria Kanellis is expanding her army that she talked about. So we'll see what happens in the future over that. Our next match, we have Robin Renegade taking on Billy Starks. As you know, this was a very interesting match. Of course, last week, Billy defeated her Charlotte's twin sister, Robin. But now Charlotte's the one who gets the loss with the facebuster. But of course, the party was cut short thanks to Robin showing up and Athena showing up. So the obvious question, what is going on between Athena and Billy? Well, it's still unanswered, and the same thing going on in the interview. So that sort of thing goes on. Now, our next match, we have Lee Moriarty and the Workhorsemen taking on Darius Martin, Lee Johnson, and Action Andretti. I have to say, these three guys have shown a lot of promising together as a trios. And I think it shows a lot. You know, Lee Johnson, who, as you know, recently was with the Factory, but no longer. Seems like it seems to working well between these three guys. But it was them. It was, of course, a bridge by Andretti to Henry to pick up the win. Some people say that it didn't look like a win, like there was another botch moment. But the referee did stated that both shoulders from Henry are down, and it was over from there. So the referee made the final call. Now, our next match, we have Lady Frost versus Trish Adora. I thought the match was pretty good. You know, I mean, Trish Adora seems is trying to get back in her winning ways. Lady Frost is trying to make a name for herself. But Lady Frost picked up a pretty good win when she applied that jumping move that she does off the turnbuckle. I don't know what they call it. I'm not sure it's called temperature. But it was pretty impressive. So I hope to see her more on Ring of Honor. Our next interview with Lexi, we had Kiera Hogan talking about Lady Frost. As you remember, Kiera Hogan is all about fire and all that stuff, so we're going to see like a fire versus ice type thing going on in this particular story. Our next match, we have Rachel Ellering versus Layla Hirsch. I'm sure this was quite a challenge for Layla Hirsch. You're facing off a woman who has a bit of a powerhouse, which was awesome. But unfortunately, this match ended with an armbar. But of course, Maria was going to be there regardless, watching what she is trying to create be there. Next up, we have, of course, Peter Avalon versus Dalton Castle. Now, Dalton Castle has not been in a good mood since he got screwed out of the World Television match thanks to Stokely Hathaway, but he got his frustrations out on Avalon when he applied the Batarang, and that was it right there. Now, our next and final interview is with Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor has a match against Samoa Joe. So it appears like he feels like guys like Samoa Joe, who are the old guard, needs to move aside and give guys like Shane Taylor the reins. But we'll see what happens till then. Our next match, we have Tony Nese once again throwing his little shenanigans. But Jerry Lynn was able to tell him that someone's going to put him in his place, and that is someone from his past, and that is, of course, Metalik. I thought it was a good match. Of course, freaking Daivari was going to get involved regardless, but in fact, it was Metalik that picked up the win with a driver just like that. So, but he did seem like he was hurt a little bit, but I hope it wasn't too damaging like we hoped for. So I think that's pretty much it with all the reviews right now. So let's move on with our final thing, news updates. Okay, welcome to our news update. So let's get started. You may have heard what happened in Atlanta during a show that was being held with AR Fox. Apparently, out of nowhere, in the first beginning of the show, Sting and Darby Allin invaded the show and attacked AR Fox. Now, if you remember what Sting said to AR Fox this past Wednesday, he said that AR Fox, you better have eyes in the back of your head because we got a coffin match. So I think this is payback for what they did to Nick Wayne. If you guys remember, Nick Wayne was in his father's school teaching someone and they attacked him. So, like the old saying goes, payback's a bitch. So basically Sting and Darby got the little payback for Nick Wayne for this one. However, the people who were there are saying they were booing and Sting and Darby, and they said that you don't go here. I don't think they care. They got a little payback. But the obvious question does tell, what does Swerve thinks about this? I'm sure he's not liking this. But you can see the show on the show on Twitter or anywhere. But if you go search on YouTube, go to WWA4 and you'll see it. You'll see the one that the recent match. It actually shows it. But if not, then I'll try to put it into the description down below. Put a link to it. Now, Hiromu Takahashi has recently talked with Sports Illustrated about, as you know, last year he was unable to come to the Forbidden Door. He was looking forward in teaming up with Sting, but due to the circumstances, he was out because of an illness. But he said he would like to come to AEW and team up with Sting. But he said that he would like also to do is to put the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship on the line against Darby Allin. I think that would sell completely. So only time will tell when will that happen. Now, recently was added for the Kitsune Women's Wrestling Show. Sandra Moon, who is currently in Japan, will be making her way back to the U.S. to participate in this show. So I'm looking forward to that. Now, if you guys remember recently, New Japan will have a show in in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the 28th of October. Now, this is who they announced who's going to participate. We have Sanada, Tetsuya Naito, Eddie Kingston, Julia, Tama Tonga, and Super Estrella from CMLL. So, yeah. Now, some of you may ask, who will Julia face in this particular show? Well, it's still unclear, but I said I have my money on Toni Storm. It has to be her. I mean, we're all looking forward to that match, so we'll see what happens. Now, Yoshi Promotion, World Woman Pro Wrestling Diana, or just simply Diana, has announced that Waka Tsukiyama will be making her appearance on their August 25th show. She'll be teaming up with the world champion, Haruka Umisaki. They take on Nanami and, of course, Waka's old pal from her color days, Rina Amikura. So that's going to be interesting. Now, recently we know that Diana has been booking certain wrestlers to be in the promotion. We had Miyu Umisaki. We have, of course, Lady C, and now Waka. Waka, I have seen her participate in a Diana show, but this was before she made her way to Stardom. So that's kind of interesting to see. Now, recently, Starlight Kid has been talking about a very interesting topic regarding, now, normally no championship matches should happen during the 5-star Grand Prix. Now, she often talked about the red and the white belt specifically. This is what she had to say about it. Let me pull it up. Both are strange, right? We are in the middle of the five star, so no one in the league would challenge them. That's why I wonder if it's possible for an unknown foreign wrestler from outside suddenly challenge the red belt, the world title. The same goes for the white belt, Konami, who left Stardom and has limited participation, but God's Eye dispute led to the challenge. Some people want the belt but never get the chance. So she's now questioning, why is this happening? Why did Stardom allow Mega Bane to challenge for the red belt? Why are they allowing Konami, who only has a limited participation with Stardom, gets a white belt? How come the others are not? I know there's been growing frustrations towards that. I mean, it is a good valid point. She even talks more about this. Like, she made reference about the white belt. The white belt is becoming a pitiful existence now. Can a newcomer or returnee challenge it right away? Red belt? As Stardom homegrown, it's only natural to return to the right place. If you don't say it out loud, it won't get through. After that, I will return being a singles champion again with my ability and results. So basically, I know Starlight Kid has challenged for the white belt before on many occasions, but she lost. Um, it's no surprising that she would definitely want to have another car. She does have a singles run as a high speed champion, and she's the first ever future champion. So that would make sense about what she's saying. So she's growing frustration about why is these title matches happen in the middle of the 5 star. It would make sense. Now moving on. As you know, I talked about YuuRi in a DWZ discussion. She put an interesting thing that she was talking about, and I think I want to read this out loud for everybody. I am a woman who in the past had serious accident in which lost consciousness for 5 days and managed to pull off a miracle that saved my life. Living in the present is not given because I have wandered between life and death, and I am acutely aware of the preciousness of my life, and further fuels my passion as a pro wrestler, and I'm always ready to fight for my life. Of course, my parents were against me becoming a pro wrestler after almost dying, but I kept on believing in myself and made it this far. I used to be weak, whiny, clumsy wrestler who couldn't do anything and kept losing, but now I am a singles champion and ended up in the main eventer at Corkin Hall. I've been living a reckless and unpredictable life since a long time, but now that I am wrestling, it's most fun, happiest time of my life. My parents still have not come to watch me wrestle, but I hope one day I can show them the best view. I want to continue believe in my potential while realizing my own growth. I have no limits. Wow. Well, I can say this, YuuRi does have that in common with Mina and Himeka. Both their parents never got to see them wrestle. Well, Mina and Himeka have dads that never got to see them wrestle, but something like that. But I did not know about this about YuuRi, that she had an accident. But she seems okay the way she looks. But it tells like the story of a true underdog. But that's how I see it, yeah. So hope you guys enjoy about YuuRi. She's a really interesting person to follow. So check her out. Now, finally, as you know, we got the Royal Quest coming up soon. They announced, of course, the homegrown boy from the UK, Will Ospreay, will participate in the show. So I'm looking forward to that as well. So we're going to see how this Royal Quest is going to be. How's it going to be booked? And I think that's pretty much it what we have for our news updates. So it's time to call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. As you know, we have Friday, we have AEW Rampage and NXT Level Up. Now, I haven't decided yet on if there's any other shows. But if I do, I'll put them as soon as possible. I do know Stardom had their much recent show at Carnegie Hall, and now as we speak, we have the New Blood show taking place, and then of course after that we do have another show taking place where certain matches are taking place. So we'll be doing that. I don't know what other ones I can think of, but we'll see how things will turn up for the next episode. But as for now, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.